What's going on, horror? This is your boy Horror Gamer, welcoming you to the very first Horror Haven LLC. As I said previously, this is your host, Horror Gamer,
And I'm Gabs.
and we're here today to bring you an epic episode. So, Gabs, let them know what we're talking about today. I think this is gonna be it's gonna be epic as shit.
Well, today we just kind of want to get to know everybody and let you get to know us. We're going to give you a little background on what we're about, where we're coming from, and we're going to have a little discussion on the new Candyman trailer and the Candyman movie from 1990. What was it?
It was 92.
Okay. It's been a long time.
Oh man, what, over 20 years? Almost 20 years?
Yeah.
Over 20 years?
Yeah.
So, Gabs,
Yeah.
why don't you start it off? Why don't you let these people know about you, how you got into the whole horror game? Let them know.
Okay, well, I saw my very first horror movie when I was 8. It was Halloween 2. And that movie still, it's not scary to me anymore, obviously. But it's still my favorite horror movie of all time, just because that's what brought me into it.
Yeah.
And I just remember watching it and thinking, what in the world is going on? Who is this guy? And the hot tub scene, when he melts her whole face, I was like, what is this?
He literally turned her face into a bowl of ramen. That shit just peeled off like noodles.
So gross. And I was like, I remember thinking, like, there's movies like this? Like, people actually come up with this kind of stuff? And I was hooked. From then on, when Sci-Fi Channel debuted, it was on my first TV that I ever had in my bedroom. It was a turn-dial TV. It was Channel 14. And when Sci-Fi first came out, it was just old, shitty horror movies.
Oh, yeah.
And so I watched them over and over again. Growing up, every Friday, my dad would take us to the local video store, and I had a notebook that I would carry with me. And while my dad and my mom and my sister looked for videos, I was keeping a log of all of the horror movies that they had and the new ones that came in, and then I would check them as I watched them. I mean, I've seen so many horror movies in my life that I'll start watching something from the 80s and early 90s, and I'll get about halfway through and go, oh, I saw this already. Because I just saw so many. I mean, I consume it. I mean, it's, you know, a lot of people like, you know, World War II history or, you know, world history or rom-coms and things like that. And it's, you know, if you ever catch me with a spare 5 minutes, I'm watching a horror movie.
Well, see, but that's what's up, though, because, you know, horror movies are a vast thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, horror movies are something where it's not just a horror movie. You have different genres and subgenres of horror movies, you know?
Exactly.
And that's what makes horror so beautiful, is the fact that, you know, not every horror movie is the same. There's a different premise to each one, you know? And that's, you know, and I want to get back to when you said about how Sci-Fi used to play them old shitty horror movies. I agree 100%, but it was so great. It's better than that shit they have now, those Sci-Fi direct films.
Oh, they're so bad.
Oh my Christ.
And I'm not a huge fan of, I'm going to do a bad movie on purpose.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I mean,
No.
I'm so fiercely, what's the word I'm looking for? Protective.
Yes.
Over the horror genre, because it's been such a big part of my life. That when Sci-Fi comes out with these dumbass Sharknado, some of the other ones, these stupid dumbass, why are you wasting your money on this when you could actually use your brain and come up with something that might scare me? That to me is not entertaining. I know a lot of people think that it's funny and they're entertained by that, but no. I don't like
Yeah.
that.
I
I want to be scared.
I agree with you 100%. And not even just that, not even making one shitty movie because you know it's bad, but making five sequels to that same fucking shitty movie.
Exactly.
Like
Ugh.
they each get worse every fucking time. Like that's oh
Yeah, yeah, and you consider it a success because there's hundreds and thousands of articles written about how bad your movie is. That's not a success, sweetheart.
no, no, it's not. It's
No, in
them.
20 years you're going to be kind of embarrassed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you know what? I do like that story about that notebook you said you had. That's awesome that, and your first horror movie wasn't even that bad of a horror movie to start off with. I mean,
No,
Michael Myers, the legend. He's
I
a
know.
legend in the horror
My
community.
mind was blown when
Yeah.
I saw Halloween for the first time, and I was like, oh, well, this is scary.
Yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And how that legend was born. And then it's kind of a cool thing that I got to see it for the first time, not from the beginning.
Yeah.
Because, you would think that I would have, like, I would know what to expect. I didn't know what to expect because the second movie, seeing it now is a continuation of the first movie. It literally picks up where the first movie left off.
Absolutely.
But it's so independent. There's no babysitters in the second one. There's no high schoolers. And, no offense, Jamie Lee Curtis, you didn't really look like you were 16 in that movie. So,
Yeah.
you know, I didn't know that you were a high schooler. I didn't know, so being a young girl watching young girls being stalked and, just trying to get it with their boyfriends. And
Mhm.
this is what happens when you try to get it with your boyfriend. And,
Yeah.
I was 9 or 10 at the time. I was getting ready to start babysitting, and it was like, do I want to babysit now? I don't know.
Yeah, because there's always that stigma in the back of your head that, oh, there's somebody watching me through the window.
I will tell you this, from the time I started babysitting to the time I was a grown woman, I never had a boy in the house with me when I was babysitting. Friend, boyfriend, anything. Never. It was me and the kids
Oh, hey,
every time.
then that means that movie did its job and it did its job right. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying? So hell yeah. That's epic as shit. Now, me on the other hand, my first experience with horror is a little bit different than yours. So I went straight to the Super Bowl of horror movies at 5 years old. And my very first horror movie, I'll never forget it, was with my dad on Halloween night. And it was The Exorcist.
How old?
I was 5 years old. No bullshit. 5 years
Oh.
watching The Exorcist with my dad on Halloween night of all nights. This is documented. Your boy Horror Gamer has a YouTube channel, and I've told this story on that YouTube channel where, Halloween night, my dad and I have horror movie nights, and one of our staples every Halloween was The Exorcist, but that started when I was 5 years old.
Do you remember?
Oh, I remember everything. That movie scared the hell out of me. Like, I remember the scene. Like, this was before that newer version came out with the extra footage with the whole
with the
spider
crawling
walk.
down the stairs?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. That was scary as shit in itself at like 20.
That was awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, that version didn't exist because that was just recent.
Yeah.
That was like within the past 20 years or so that this version came out. So I watched the old school way it was intended one, the edited and everything, the one that was banned in like 37 countries or whatever.
Yeah.
At 5 with my dad. And the scene where she looked at them and her fucking head spun, bruh, that was it for your boy. I was crying. But I loved it though. It was a thing. And that's the thing about, like I was saying about the horror thing, is that's why I love horror so much. I love the feeling of being scared. I love the edge on your seat stuff. And for me, The Exorcist delivered that at such a young age. You know what I mean?
To this day, I have a hard time walking upstairs to a second floor in a building that has a door at the end of the hallway.
Yeah.
because of The Exorcist.
Oh, I know. Like, I still like even to this day. Now that I'm like in my mid 30s, I still at times do not like to walk in a dark house near steps.
Hmm.
And to this day, and this is something that y'all don't know about your boy Horror Gamer. I don't like to watch The Exorcist alone and in the dark. To this day,
I've
like I said,
never watched The Exorcist alone.
nope. I always have to have somebody watch it with me, and I always
Mm-mm.
had to be in a lit room. I can't watch it in the dark
Mm-mm. No,
because
no.
it was one of them movies. Like I said, when you start your horror viewing career at the age of 5 with that, it does something to you.
Yeah.
You know. So, but I'm glad that that was, when you get when your very first one is one of the harder ones to watch, and you're able to get that out of the way, the horror isn't as bad or isn't as scary throughout the years. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, no, I know the first time I watched The Exorcist, I was 12.
Yeah.
And my parents had a VCR in their room
Hmm.
and a VCR in the living room. And for some reason, I thought that I would be safer to watch it in their bedroom. And their bedroom was upstairs at
Yeah.
the end of the hall.
Yeah. And there's no, listen, man, my dog just scared the shit out of me. We're talking about The Exorcist, and she's over here barking. No, but no, with The Exorcist, it's just there's no safe place to watch that movie. No matter where you go,
Yeah.
there's going to be man, that dog made my heart jump. Shit. No matter where you go, you're there. You know what I'm saying? There's no escaping just the fear that movie ensues on somebody.
And that's the thing about horror. One of the things that I love the most about horror is how many people can tell you how old they were and who they were with the first time they saw Pretty Woman or
Exactly.
Full Metal Jacket
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
one of a very, very mainstream, very popular movie that's kind of timeless. Who remembers the first time they saw Forrest Gump? Who were you with when you
Yeah.
saw that movie? You know what I mean? All of these movies that were just such a big deal throughout your life.
Hmm.
Nobody remembers who you were with,
Exactly.
where you were, how old you were. But you can remember certain horror movies will just implant themselves in you, and it's
Yeah.
with you for the rest of your life, and that's strangely comforting. I mean, considering the fact that you're being scared out of your ass, but
Yeah.
it's just something that there's so much sentimental value that we attach
Yeah.
to horror
Absolutely.
films. I think that's how you can tell a true horror fan
Yeah, exactly. A
from a
true
very
horror.
casual horror
Yeah.
fan that these movies, The Exorcist, I haven't ever watched The Exorcist alone. I probably never will. I'm almost
Yeah.
40 and I've kind of given up on that. It's never going to happen.
I don't blame you.
Yeah. But I mean, a movie that you can see countless times that still affects you almost the same way that it did the first time. And then movies that don't age as well. That Halloween is one of the best horror movies of all time.
Yes.
Fight me. I don't care what people think.
Listen.
I mean, the truth is the truth. Sorry, everyone. Maybe it's not scary anymore. It's definitely, to me, it's not scary anymore, but it has that nostalgia value.
Yes.
That the entire month of October, when my child goes to bed and my husband goes and does his own thing and I'm doing my own thing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever I'm doing, Halloween is playing in the background.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Yeah. And when I'm I have a 3-year-old, I have a house, I have a husband, I have a job. There's not much time just for me.
Mm-hmm.
But if there is time for me, I'm sitting down and I'm either finding something on Shudder or
Yep.
I'm spending 45 minutes reading articles and Google searches on what's the best scary movie to stream right now and finding that one that nobody seems to have heard of and testing it out you know,
Absolutely.
and that's how I do my, it's strange to say, I unwind by being scared.
Listen, that's not, you know what? It's not as strange as what you think, because your boy Horror Gamer is the same way. I
Hmm.
love that, like that feeling of unease. I love that. And as a lot of you guys know, your boy Horror Gamer is a hell of a hella movie collector. Like I love physical horror media, and I have a whole shelf just dedicated to that shit alone. And that's really all I watch when I have downtime. You know, like you said, I have a job, I have a
Hmm.
house, I have a dog that you just heard in the background like 10 minutes ago. You know what I'm saying? I have all that shit, but at times it doesn't feel like you have a time for yourself. But when I do find that time, it's usually 9 times out of 10 you're going to find me down in the man cave with a horror movie in the background playing, or I'm playing like a horror video game or something. But everything, it's the same every time. There's always something horror related on that TV.
Now, I have seen your horror collection,
Yes.
and it is impressive.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you.
probably one of the biggest horror collections I've ever seen.
Thank you.
And I mean, to think that another one of the things that I love about horror, there's so much of it.
Yes.
You're still adding to it.
Every day, every time I have a chance to get a hold of something, I
Yeah.
try to do it. And like you said, there's so much of it out there. Like
Yeah.
I might never be able to, you know, get all the horror movies that I want, but you know what? I'm gonna give it the damnedest effort, you know, because
You're
it's
going to need a
always,
bigger house.
yeah. That's it. That's it. That's exactly. I'm gonna need a bigger house because sooner or later it's just gonna take over. And that's like you said. That's the beauty of the whole horror genre, is the fact that, you know, we can have physical media, we can have that collection, and you can just continuously watch it to grow, but
Hmm.
never be satisfied, because there's always going to be something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And going back and watching all the older ones and all these that you've seen before,
Hmm.
it's so cool to go back and watch them again, because there's always like, oh, I never noticed that before. Oh, I didn't see that the first time around,
Yeah.
and if you really concentrate on it and you kind of watch it from a different perspective, some of these movies, it's almost like watching a whole different movie,
Exactly.
because now
Yeah.
that you kind of know what to expect, you can see what's really happening. Because
Hmm.
if there is one thing that when you're caught up being scared, you're not really paying attention to the little details.
Hmm.
And that's one great thing about horror filmmakers.
Yeah.
They tend to, really, really hone in on the details.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up about horror filmmaking and stuff, because believe it or not, a lot of your better horror movies are like the lower budget stuff.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, their attention to detail. When you're a low budget horror movie filmmaker, you you're basically like, this is your one and done shot
Yeah.
for a
You're
lot
on
of
your
them.
own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you have to, you got to, like you said, you got to have an attention to detail, and you got to put your heart into it. And a lot of the like lower budget horror stuff, you can tell that people like have that sense of urgency, unlike your big Hollywood fucking uh you know fiascos like the 2020 remake of The Grudge, or fucking Fantasy Island that has this big Hollywood budget. And it
Garbage.
was,
Garbage.
yes, it was nothing but a pile of dog poop. But then you get some of these lower budget movies that have no budget, no Hollywood funding, and they're some of the better horror movies that are made. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like, I've seen a couple that literally has been made in somebody's backyard and in their house,
Hmm.
and on a shot on a fucking cell phone camera, and it's one of my favorite movies. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Paranormal Activity, Blair Witch Project. I mean,
Yes. Even one recently that I've watched called The Fear Footage.
oh,
Dude
you
shot the
love that movie.
Yes, dude shot the fucking movie on his cell phone, downloaded an editing app, edited it, and then sold it.
I mean, I don't love that movie as much as you do. I do recommend
Oh,
that people see it, though, just
absolutely.
because of what you said. It's amazing.
Yes.
what people can do when they really feel passionate about something.
Absolutely.
But it is really cool when you watch it and you think of it that way. Like, some guy just came up with this in his house on his phone. I mean, like, I'm on my phone right now and I'm playing Sudoku.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. So it just shows that what passion, like, when you take a subject and you put passion behind it, passion is like the heart, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, you got them big Hollywood funded movies that have no passion behind it, and you get garbage, you know. And that's where, and this is what brings me to our next topic, which is Candyman. Okay.
You are so excited for this.
I am so excited for this movie, and let me tell you why. If y'all don't know, your boy Horror Gamer is a huge Tony Todd fan. I'm a huge Candyman fan. You know, he was born to play that role, and in the 1992 version of Candyman, my man did his thing. His voice was amazing. His screen presence was second to none. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And it was crazy because in the movie, like, if you sat back and you watched the 1992 version of Candyman, it was 45 minutes before you even saw him. You know what I mean?
I don't remember from when I saw it as a kid being that much of a slow to start.
It was a slow burn, but what they were doing was they were building the story of Candyman throughout the first 45 minutes, and then they hit you with that blam, you know, when they finally show him. And then it picks up, you know, and then it's like one after another, you know. But Tony Todd as Candyman is one of the most terrifying things in the world. Like, Candyman, believe it or not, was the second ever horror movie your boy Horror Gamer ever watched.
Damn, that's why you did not start slow.
No, I was not one of those slow to the race kind of people. I started with the big guns. Yes, yep, big guns. So now we fast forward almost 20 years, and now we finally get what I feel is a possible solid remake to something that, you know, your boy Horror Gamer loved as a child. Now, they did have 2 other sequels to this, don't get me wrong. And the second one, Candyman 2, actually followed like they dug deeper into his lineage, you know, and they dug into like his family orients and stuff like that. It wasn't a bad movie. It wasn't the first one, you know what I mean? The first one just gave you really like the story behind it a little bit, and then bang, get you with the Candyman and Cabrini Green. But a lot of people, I hope a lot of people know this, but some people might not. You know, Candyman is an actual urban legend.
Really?
It's legit 100% true, and it's not from Chicago, which they try to make it in the movies. It stems from Louisiana, in like the you know, the voodoo country of Louisiana. I have a buddy who he is from Louisiana, and Candyman is a big thing down there.
Really?
Yes, it's a
even
legit.
Before even aside from the movie?
No, before the movie, like. The movie was based on that legend. Like, so, like, the legend is like 100%. I think, you know, I don't know. Have you ever tried to, like, do Candyman in the mirror?
Hell no. I know it's fake, but I am a smart girl. I'm not trying my luck.
Exactly. And the thing for me is, like, I believe in it enough not to fuck with it. Because you never know. You never know. Because I was always brought up that legend stems from reality.
Yeah.
You know, there could be a possibility of, you know, a real life Candyman. Like, just because it's a legend, that legend had to come from somewhere. Nobody just said, oh, hey, you know, let me just tell you the legend of this guy, Daniel Robitaille, who got a slave owner's daughter pregnant. And then they chased him down and they cut his hand off with a rusty blade, covered his body in honey, and then put a hook where the hand used to be, and then he was stung to death by bees. Like, you can't just think that up. You know?
Which, by the way, could you get more brutal?
I know, like
That's just mean. Like
that.
overly sadistic. I mean,
That's
come on.
overkill. Yeah, that's definite overkill. I
Yeah.
mean, like cutting his hand off is like one thing, and with a rusty blade, it wasn't even like a nice, well sharpened blade. This thing
Yeah,
was
you're an
rusted and dull.
evil asshole.
Yes, an evil, sadistic son of a bitch that can do that.
Yeah.
And then not only do you do that, but you cover the poor man's naked body in honey and have bees attack this man
Yeah.
and just kill the shit out of him. And then, you wonder why his ghost comes back and murders the fuck out of you. You know what I mean?
You kind of
But
deserve it.
yeah, but the legend is, like I said, the legend is terrifying. I recommend, if you guys don't know the legend of Candyman, go check it out. It is terrifying. I'm not giving it the justice it deserves, but the Legend of Candyman is just straight up terrifying. Terrifying. And I don't know. The movies are a good representation of that, though. So you've seen the 1992 version, right?
The first time, speaking of remembering movies, the first time I saw that movie was at a friend's birthday sleepover in 8th grade. I was 13.
Mm-hmm.
And for all of our male listeners out there, I don't know if this is the same for you guys, but when we were girls, when you had a slumber party, it was pizza, makeovers, and horror movies. And generally they were playing in the background, or you played them when everybody got in their sleeping bags and, got a little scared, and then we were done, and, everybody would go to sleep. I was the creep that was shushing everybody because I wanted to watch. And I can't remember the third movie that we watched, but at this particular sleepover, we saw Candyman, another one, and Sleepaway Camp.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a triple feature.
Yeah, and I remember we actually did end up settling down. I think we got in trouble from our parents for being loud. And we ended up settling down. And about halfway through Candyman, everybody actually started to watch it. And it was like, for the rest of the night, it was like, I dare you to go to the bathroom. And, and I liked it. I remember really, really liking it. And being really freaked out about it, because even as a kid, man, you took a baby.
Yeah.
You're messing with a baby.
And the dog?
Oh. Yeah.
That was rough. I'm just glad that they didn't show it happening.
No, yeah. I mean, I don't like to see dead animals anyway.
No.
But if they show the actual act of killing an animal, I'm out. I mean, if it happens within the first 5 minutes, I am already prejudging. I don't like this movie.
Nope, absolutely. I'm the same way.
You really have to do something amazing to really get me after something like that. It is different because you can kind of detach yourself. Obviously, it's not a real decapitated dog.
Yes.
But yeah, that
scene. Speaking of that decapitated dog, that scene where she wakes up in that apartment and it's covered in blood.
Genius.
And that woman is freaking out because, like you said, he took the baby. Like, dude, Candyman set that bitch up for disaster. Let's just be honest.
He sure
did. He didn't say, she just closed her eyes and woke up. She's covered in blood from like head to toe. A dead dog's head laying right next to her, and there's just this room full of blood. And you really think when you first see this that this baby's dead. Like, because I mean, what else could you think? What else could you possibly think walking into that room?
Now, for those of you who haven't seen Candyman yet,
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. What we're talking about right now is probably just about halfway or a little bit before halfway through the movie.
Yeah.
Which centers around a woman named Helen. She is a grad student who, with her friend, is writing a thesis on urban legends.
Yeah.
And somebody tells her about the Candyman legend, and so she becomes really fascinated with it. She lives in Chicago. She knows where Cabrini Green is, where the legend takes place, which Cabrini Green is a housing project.
Yeah.
And so she finds an article about a woman who was murdered, that all of the people in this project say she was murdered by Candyman. She goes there into the woman's apartment, which is now abandoned, and she finds behind this woman's former medicine cabinet. I feel like the medicine cabinet isn't there anymore. The mirror's not there anymore. She climbs in, and there's actually kind of a shrine.
Yeah.
With offerings to Candyman.
Yes. And did you notice that the offerings had razor blades in them?
Yes. Yes. Rusty ones too.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. So she says Candyman 5 times in the mirror.
Yes.
And Candyman comes after her.
Mm-hmm.
And it does explain at the end why he's after her.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're kind of not sure why, because that was one of the things that I really liked about this, is while the movie's going on, it's like Candyman comes and he got you with his hook.
Yeah.
Or for that poor little boy, he ripped his little ween off.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I know.
Yeah,
that part was...
God, Candyman.
That part was like, what the hell, bro? I mean, come on now. I mean, seriously?
Leave the weens alone.
I know, right? Like, there's certain things you don't do to a man.
I mean,
castrate my boy while he's on the fucking toilet.
And his little body was holding his little self. I mean, oh God, that makes me shudder. Yeah, but anyway, anybody else that talks about it is like, if you say his name 5 times, he's gonna come and he's gonna kill you. Everybody else gets killed.
Yeah.
She doesn't. He actually ends up ruining her life.
Absolutely. And he wants her to be his victim, because I don't know if you caught it, like that scene in the after she gets hit by that fake Candyman, and she's fingering him out or whatever. That little boy is waiting for her to come out of the room, and she looks at him and says, Candyman is not real. It's just bad people using his legend to scare people. And then that little boy looked at her. He was like, well, Candyman is not real. She's like, no. Right there, I think that's when his hand had to be brought down on this woman, because he just literally told this little boy that she wasn't real, therefore basically like removing his fear of Candyman. You know what I'm saying? Candyman is one of those things, to be relevant, he has to be feared.
Like Freddy.
Kind of like Freddy, yeah. He has to be feared. People have to be afraid of him. That's where his power comes from. So when she told this little kid, oh, hey, he's not real, then how little kids like to go and run their mouth. So I'm pretty sure this little bastard went and told everybody, Candyman ain't real. And then that, like, you know what I mean? And then, like, all of a sudden,
kids like to run their mouths.
Yeah, little kids like to run their damn mouth,
That
like,
is the damn truth.
Yeah, like, so I bet you he went and told all his friends, Candyman is not real. He's nothing to be afraid of. And then, and at that point, it kind of like weakened Candyman. So he had to come and tell her, be my victim. Let us die together in front of these people. That way they know that I'm real.
Your theory is different from mine.
Yeah?
Yeah, because, continued spoiler alert.
Yes.
So, here, let's kind of go through the rest of the movie, and then we'll get to the end, because my theory comes at the end. Okay, so the horrible and incredibly well acted, by the way. I wish I knew the name of the woman who played the mother of the baby that goes missing.
Oh, her name's Vanessa T. Williams.
Vanessa T. Williams. Yes. Applause.
Yes.
That is, I think, extremely realistic on how I think a mother would react to coming home to a blood-soaked apartment and their child being gone. I mean, Absolutely. She acted as though she was insane. And I think if anything ever happened to my baby, I think my brain would break.
Absolutely.
Completely. So, I mean, kudos. She did a great job on that. But they arrest Helen. she ends up getting out, I think, on bail, right?
Yeah, she gets out on bail. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and the whole time, her little sleazy husband, this
Oh,
bastard.
yeah, piece of shit.
Oh, asshole. Cheating. Ugh.
Yeah, can't stand that shit.
Yeah, the whole time, this is not actually a spoiler because you can kind of tell from the beginning he's cheating on her with one of his students. He's a professor.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So she goes home, and her best friend that she's doing the thesis with comes to visit her. Candyman kills her too.
Yeah.
When it's just her and Helen in the apartment. So obviously they get Helen for that one too. But this time they put her in a mental hospital.
Yes.
And then pick up from there because I'm a little foggy on that.
So basically what happens is when they send her to the mental hospital, they kind of like strap her down and then hit her with some of that sleep juice. I like to call it sleep juice because I don't know what the fuck they put in that needle, but I know it knocks them the fuck out is what it does. But so she's laying there and she's strapped down, and then fucking Candyman transcends from the fucking ceiling, and he's literally like in her face talking to her, and she's calling him a murderer. She's screaming, and it like jumps to a CCTV footage camera, and you don't see anything. Like there's nothing there, but he's like floating above her, and she's freaking out and stuff. But on the cameras, they don't see anything, so they run in to sedate her. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then they
and he kills the doctor.
Yes, that's what just right where I was getting at. And then they take her, to see the doctor because I don't know what the fuck he thinks he's gonna do in this whole situation, but they have her strapped to that wheelchair, and she sits in and she's talking to the doctor, and he was like, he came to visit you last night or some bullshit like that, some kind of like doctor theory bullcrap, and then he was like, well, why don't you call him so I can see him? Well, okay, first off, big fucking mistake. You know, and then second off, when she does call him, I mean, he slices and dices this motherfucker. I mean, from the back. Like when you get gotten from the back the way this doctor is, there's no recovering from that shit. I mean,
Candyman has got some ideas.
Oh my god! Like, this is what I don't get. How the hell can you cut somebody with a hook?
I mean, you are strong.
Yeah. just a little bit, when you can get somebody from the back and bring that hook up almost to the back of his neck.
Yeah.
Like, and he's just brutal with it too. Like the blood splashing. He's just like making them grunt noises.
Likes it.
Yes. And it's so insane. Like, it's so insane. And then right there is when Candyman actually looks at Helen and is like, you know, be my victim. You know, meet me at, you know, basically telling her to meet him back at Cabrini Green. So he cuts off those straps and she escapes the mental hospital. And then she goes home, and then right there is where it solidifies the fact that piece of shit is cheating on her, when she walks into the house and that college girl is there helping him paint the kitchen, and he comes walking in his damn robe like Hugh Hefner or some bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, you son of a bitch.
You motherfucker.
Yeah, like, I wanted to see his ass get it. You know what I mean?
Did
right
he get
there.
Killed? Yeah, he got killed.
He gets his.
He gets killed in front of the girlfriend, which good for you too, girl.
Yeah, he gets his at the very, very end because, you know, after all this fucking fuckery takes place, she ends up going back to Cabrini Green.
Okay.
Yeah, you remember? You remember now?
Yes. Yeah, but I don't want to say it because then we'll be bouncing. Yeah. So she goes to Cabrini Green. And here's where my theory is. Is this where... I really should have rewatched this before we started. I'm sorry, everybody. No, pick up. She goes to Cabrini Green.
And she finds him laying on that table with the baby. Like, the baby's in the crib.
Oh, and he's about to sacrifice the baby.
Yes. The baby is in Cabrini Green the whole fucking time. But he's in... The baby's in that fucking altar. Remember the altar? The
altar, yep.
He's in that room with the Candyman, and she finds Candyman laying on the table, and she stabs his ass.
Yes.
And then it like wakes his ass up.
Her, and then he's gonna set her and the baby on. He's gonna burn her and the baby.
Yeah, but he lies to her to get her to agree to be his victim by saying he'll let the baby go.
Yeah, and she agrees to it, and then he's like, just playing.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, oh,
Sorry,
by
not
the way.
sorry. I'm not. Yeah. Yeah.
And then when they're in that, like, because um I knew when you saw that big fucking pile of garbage and wood and shit at the beginning of the movie that was going to actually play a big part in the movie's ending.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell, because why would they have it there? They haven't burned it yet. People are continuing to throw the stuff on it. Well, that's where Candyman takes Helen and the baby,
Mm-hmm.
and it's right when they're getting ready to burn this shit. So he's actually holding her down and the baby while they're burning this to, sacrifice all of them. And then she ends up knocking like a burning piece of wood down on him, or no, she ends up stabbing him with a burning piece of wood.
Mm-hmm.
And then that kind of like gets him off her, and he's all in the fire screaming as like the debris falling on him and shit. And she's almost out, Gabs. She is almost out of that pile.
Yep.
And then it falls on her.
Yep. But the baby is saved. Anthony is saved.
Yes, Anthony is saved, but she gets fucked up. When they actually put her out, her hair's completely burned off. You can see her you can see her bones in her back because her fucking skin burned off.
Mm-hmm.
And you just feel so bad for her, because this whole time these people thought that this woman had it in her to kill this baby, but she actually was the one who saved it.
But I thought it was really great at the end.
Yes, that was a good scene.
That, they figured out the truth.
Yes.
And they were like, okay, she was a good person. And then she got her respect in the end.
Yeah, she got the respect at the end. Unfortunately, it happened a little too late because it was at her funeral. And how eerie was that? Just that little clip of her laying in that coffin.
Ugh.
Like, that was creepy as shit. But they had that scene, and yeah. And then everybody from Cabrini Green came to her funeral, and then there's her respect. Now, let's talk about when Trevor gets his.
Yes.
Let's talk about when he gets his shit. So after all that shit happens, she dies, they have her funeral and stuff. Now all of a sudden, my man wants to sit in the bathroom and cry like a little bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, woe is me. Oh, I shouldn't have, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's too late, And he's sitting there crying. The college girl's trying to cook dinner or whatever. And then for some reason, he gets this bright damn idea to look in the mirror and say, Helen. And then he does it 4 more times and then turns the light out. And booyah, Helen shows up. And she is, this is the part that confused me, though, because it kind of left a plot hole, because she comes back and she has Candyman's hook, and she hooks him and cuts him up and stuff and leaves him for dead. But then they never mention that again in any other Candyman movie.
Oh, really?
Never again did they mention Helen.
It doesn't really leave it open for a direct Candyman sequel that she kills Candyman. So maybe they just kind of sweep that under the rug so that they can do the sequels.
Probably, and that's probably a good point there.
Now, here's my theory about why he targets Helen. There is a kind of fleeting glimpse at one of the pictures, graffitis on the wall. She looks like his... Was he married to the slave owner's daughter?
No, he just had a baby with her. But yeah.
But Helen looks almost exactly like the slave owner's daughter. My theory is that he was going to, because remember in the beginning when she meets Anthony's mom, the baby's mom, and she asks Helen, do you have any children? And she says, no, but I'd love to have one. He takes that baby. And he offers, he's keeping that baby. He's going to sacrifice that baby. I think that he sees her as the slave owner's daughter.
Okay.
He wants to be with her, and he got her a baby. That's my theory.
Hey, listen, that's a hell of a good theory. And you know what? I would like to hear what theories maybe the listeners like to, have. You know what I mean? So let us know. I mean,
please.
There's a way to reach out to us. Let us know what y'all think. Could be that the slave owner theory, which is a damn good solid theory. I agree with you there. That's a solid ass theory, Gabs. Good one. That's a hell of a
Thank
good
you
theory.
and good night. We can end the
Yes.
show now because I am awesome.
There you go. There it is. She just knocked it out the park. She hit one of the she hit one of them home runs where as soon as she yep. She hit one of them home runs where as soon as she cracked it, she knew it was good, so she dropped the bat and just walked around the bases. She didn't even bother running. She's like, I'm good. Shit.
I'm doing my Miss America wave right now. You guys can't see it.
That's what's up. But no, now that brings us to this new one, okay? Which we watched the trailer for, and is it a now here's the thing I don't get, is it a direct sequel or is it a remake? Because here's why, okay? Are you ready for some knowledge here, Gabs? I'm throw
ready.
this out
Bring
at
it on
you.
me.
Okay, so the reason it could be a direct sequel, did you catch the name of the main character?
No.
His name's Anthony.
Get the fuck out of here.
His name's Anthony.
Is
okay?
it Anthony?
It's his name's. Is it the baby? That's what I'm saying.
Is it beautiful baby Anthony?
Okay, there's one. Number two, did you see that Vanessa T. Williams is in it as well?
Is she the one that says, shh, don't do that?
Yep, that's her. She's like, no, don't say that. Yeah, that's her.
Did you just have your mic drop moment?
Listen, I can hit a couple home runs here and there too. You know what I mean?
I mean.
Number three. Okay, here's number three. This is where I don't know if it is a sequel or a remake here as well, because Vanessa Marsden's in it again. Did you catch her? Yeah, Virginia Madison.
She is?
She is in it. You can see clips of her in the preview.
Okay, I seriously I wanted to be prepared. I watched this trailer like 7 times, 5 minutes before we started. How did I not see any of this? I didn't see any of it.
She's in it as well. Okay, so now that throws me off for a sequel, because now is it a remake? But it's almost like a mishmash. I feel like it's a remake sequel kind of deal, because of them adding her. She's already dead. Now are they going to add her kind of like what they did in Halloween, in the Halloween remake, where they had Danielle Harris play Jamie Lloyd and then come back and play her mom's best friend in the reboots, the Rob Zombie reboots? Are they just having her play another character? And also, I don't know how true it is, but there's rumors that Tony Todd is reprising the role as Candyman, which when I heard those rumors are exciting the shit out of me. Now, with all that out of the way,
you don't see Candyman's face in the trailer.
You don't. You see a quick, super quick glimpse of it when he looks up in the elevator. Did you notice that when he looks up in the elevator, Candyman's staring down at it? But it's a quick glimpse. It's not like a settle on the face kind of thing. It's just a quick glimpse of him. So it's not. I mean, unless you're really good at pausing shit to see, it's hard to see if that's Tony Todd or not. And the voice though sounds a little off to me though to be Tony Todd. You know what I mean?
Well, Tony Todd is also almost 30 years older.
Yeah, and that's true too. Did they maybe genetically enhance it a little bit, to make it sound a little deeper and darker? Is he doing the voice and then they just added a little bit to it?
I could see them doing a really cool cameo.
Yeah, exactly.
But maybe not him because again, he's almost 30 years older.
True.
I mean, it wouldn't make sense if they keep the story. I mean, and it seems from the trailer that they keep the story the same. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the Legend of Candyman, it kind of stays the same. So it wouldn't make sense to have. I mean, I've seen recent photos of Tony Todd, and he's still a very handsome man.
Yeah.
But he's aged.
Oh yeah, obviously, and
not ungracefully, not ungracefully.
No,
he's a very handsome man, but I mean, you can tell.
Yeah.
He's not as young as he was in '94.
Yeah. Now, what I'm getting from this trailer, though, I will say this. It is written by Jordan Peele. Okay. Mm-hmm. He's not directing it; he's producing it. So this is being directed by a completely different person.
Nia DaCosta.
Yes, Nia DaCosta is the one who's directing this movie.
Who's also one of the co-writers with Jordan Peele in this movie.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, it's one of those movies that it does tackle the race issue, which Candyman was a race issue movie anyway. So it doesn't really.
We could spend an entire episode going on and on and on.
Yes.
About, the first note that I took when I started rewatching Candyman for this episode was high white privilege.
Yep.
Like, I'm just gonna walk into an inner city housing project, and they're gonna be like, "Excuse me," and I'm gonna be like, "Could you move?" Like, who are you?
Exactly. And then they do, like, I feel like they might make the cops really not that good in this movie, because at the beginning of the trailer, like, I loved how they set this trailer up. That puppet show that they're doing.
We watch different trailers.
Oh, okay.
This is I'm figuring this out now because we watch different trailers.
Okay, so the trailer I watched is the brand new one that just released like 3 days ago, where they start talking about Candyman, and they're actually doing it as like a puppet show on the wall about how, there was this guy who would come around and give neighborhood kids candy.
Mm-hmm.
And then one day a couple kids found razor blades in their candy. So they called the cops, and the cops chased this man down and beat him and shot him. So they basically, in this trailer, they're making the cops kind of look like a lynch mob, kind of like what that guy who had Daniel Robitaille originally killed by when he impregnated his daughter.
Yeah.
Except for they're twisting it, making like the cops the angry mob or whatever. But then you find out a couple weeks later that razor blades started showing up in candy again. So Candyman was innocent. So they killed the wrong man. But my thing is with where do the bees come into play? Okay, because the lure of Candyman in the movie, they explain it. In all three of the movies, they explain it. And then in the original urban legend, they explain it. They cover his body with honey and have him killed by bees. So that's where the bees come from in all this.
Well, the trailer that I watched, there were bees, and there was a very, very quick glimpse in a bloody compact mirror of his hook.
Yes. Now
is that an old trailer? Did I not watch the new trailer?
I think that was like the announcement trailer, which is fine. It's still good.
A+ for preparedness, Gabby.
Nah, Gabs, you're good. Trust me, it's still the trailer for Candyman. But the thing is, in this trailer they do have the bees too. They do show bees, but the thing is, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean?
It has to be. It's gonna all get tied in.
It has to. Like I said, that's the only thing that it kind of left me like, what? Wait a minute.
Well, I gotta tell you, with Us and Get Out, I found both of their trailers confusing. When you tried to put them all together, all the different trailers that were released, they were confusing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you though, I'm 100% on board with this Candyman movie. Like, I'm excited to see it. But the thing that scares me, and I'm just hoping that this is not the case, I'm hoping this isn't a Pet Sematary remake situation.
No, it's just Jordan Peele.
That's what I'm saying. Jordan Peele has a handle on horror. He knows what horror fans want. So I'm hoping that he can deliver, because this is a big one. Okay, this isn't like, you know what I'm saying, this isn't like Us, this isn't like, Get Out, which they were great movies and everything. This is an established character. This is a character that has been around forever. He's a beloved character. He is an actual urban legend, and you're taking this mantle, and you got to do something with it. You can't fuck this up. Like, this is one of those movies you cannot fuck up.
Yeah.
And I just hope that Jordan, and like I said, I know Jordan Peele has a handle on horror. I just hope that he delivers this one. I really do.
I think from what I've seen, he will. Yeah.
So Us didn't disappoint, and neither did Get Out. So, like I said, that's why I have faith in him that he can do it.
Oh, he'll do it. I think this is going to be really great. I'm really excited for this.
Oh, I am too. And that, like, the trailer you watched, that scene when the girls are in the bathroom at the school. Oh, tell me how terrifying that is.
That was so good.
They're like, oh, well, we're still alive, ha 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 ha, and then they go to leave, and then they get fucked up.
Yeah.
That was great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Like I said, shit like that's what makes me super excited for the movie. And then even with the new trailer, like the shit that they were showing is just when he's walking by the cop car. And here's the thing, I think what they're doing with this is, I think it almost seems like in the trailer I watched that they're going with a possession type thing, where he's gonna like
That's what I
possess
thought.
Anthony.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, same for you, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm into that.
Yeah, I don't mind
okay
it.
with that. Yeah.
I don't mind it because they show this scene where Anthony's walking behind the cop car and he looks into the glass and he sees the reflection of Candyman staring back at him.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's where like the possession part comes in, because even through the trailer you see him start acting fucking weird.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? He starts going. He's like painting. He's going. Oh. Like, I laughed at that. I'm sorry. I ain't gonna lie. That scene where he's like, oh, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
But that shit was funny. So.
Yeah.
But I'm.
Well, you know that there's gonna be like humor in it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just hope that they can get their shit done. I hope they get their shit right. So, but.
I have faith in you, Jordan Peele. Please listen to our brand new podcast.
Jordan, I love you, bruh. Hook it up. Give us the Candyman. I know you can give us, bruh. Seriously.
He's got it. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, same here. But, well, Gabs,
I think this is a good spot to wrap it up.
I think so too. I think we were very informative. I think we let everybody know what's up.
If you agree with us, or if you would like to tell us how wrong we are, please email us at horrorhavenllc@gmail.com and let us know.
Let us know. But if you tell me I'm wrong about horror, those are fighting words. No, I'm just fucking with you. You do what you gotta do. But nah, Gabs, this is an honor. I had such a great time.
So much fun. These conversations between often in our little movie club, and if you would like to participate in that, please sign up for Horror Gamers Patreon. And you can join our little club and watch movies with us and listen to us ramble on and on for hours.
Hours and hours and hours.
And hours.
And hours. And then when you're done doing all that, run over and check out the official Horror Gamer YouTube page, where your boy Horror Gamer throws up Let's Plays. We throw up movie reviews. I have segments called Found Footage Friday. Is it worth the hate? Real ghost stories. Like, I have it all, guys. So definitely run over there and check that shit out if that's something you're into as well. Well, it's probably something you are into, because let's face it, if you're sitting here right now listening to your boy Horror Gamer and Gabs, you're into it. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So go over there and check that shit out.
Guys, we hope that you liked what you heard. We really hope that you come back. We are always open to suggestion. Listen, we love horror. We want to talk about horror. If it's a true crime story, if it's a haunting, if it's a horror movie, if it's a horror story, anything, please give us suggestions. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely, 100%. And you know what? This is a podcast for the horror people, the horror community, us freaks who love the horror. Don't be afraid to reach out to us if you want us to do a segment, and let us know what you want to do, and we will be more than obliged to do it, like Gab said. So, but I feel like with all that being said, Horror Horde, this has been your host, Horror Gamer,
and Gabs.
And until next time, don't fear the darkness.
Embrace it.